Hello, dear Dhamma friends. Today also I welcome all of you for today's Dhamma talk. I am Bhante Pesala from Labnurukand Forest Monastery. So let's, first of all, I would like to wish you a good morning and good evening, good day as per your destination. So today also we are going to discuss Dhammapada verse number 5. And before the talk, we pay our homage to the Blessed One and we just say the Dhammapada in Pali and just explain the meaning. And after the talk, you can ask questions. So let's begin with the homage. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Nahi verena verani sammantidha kudacanang averena cha sammanti esa dhammo sanattaniti. Dear Dhamma friends, I welcome Janaki Balasurya and Lydia and also Amaranta. I welcome all of you for today's talk. And I just uttered the Dhammapada verse number 5. The meaning of the verse is that Nahi verena verani sammantida kudachana. Hatred can never be appeased through hatred in this world. Averena sammanti esa dhammo sanattano. But through non-hatred or through loving kindness or through friendliness, hatred can be appeased. This is an eternal law in this world. So our great teacher Samma Sambuddha began to preach this Dhammapada verse with regard to a woman as well as an ogress. In between them, they had a rivalry and they were destroying each other and each other's offspring. So in the distant past, there was a householder. So that householder had a marriage and had a wife, but unfortunately that wife was barren and she was unable to bear a child. So that time both of them got together, husband and wife, and they took another wife. And now for the husband there were two wives. First wife was barren, and fortunately the second wife was able to bear sons. And for the first time she had a son, second wife. That time the husband and both family got enjoyed well, but for first time the first wife had jealousy on the second wife. So what she did was she had given some food by mixing some drugs to the second wife, and thereby she destroyed the fetus of the second wife and did the miscarriage to the second wife. So she lost the baby, second wife. And for the second time also, second wife got pregnant, and same thing did by the first wife for the second time also. And in the third time, when the second wife goes pregnant, she didn't inform to anyone. She kept that as a secret. But with the time, when the body signs appear, uh, when the fetus mature, we can see from the external the body signs and things. So somehow first wife got to know about the pregnancy, and she again gave another poisonous food. Then for the third time also, she was able to destroy the pregnancy of the second wife. That time it was too late, and she had to deliver the baby, second wife. So second wife, while delivering the baby, she had to experience immense pain, and she also had to die. So while uh, dying, she, with immense pain, she vowed vengeance, and with hatred she vowed vengeance against the first wife, and said, in future existence, I will destroy your offsprings as well as you. By telling so, she died. And after that, after the death of the second wife, the husband got to know about the misbehavior of the first wife. Thereby, immediately after the death of the second wife, the husband thoroughly beat the first wife. So then, first wife also had to die. So both the wife died, and immediately they were reborn as a cat and hen in the same family. And after the reborning, new rebirth, the hen began to lay the eggs for the first time. So cat came and ate the eggs. For the second time also, hen laid the eggs. Cat came and ate the eggs. So that's how the rivalry went on. And for the third time also, this hen laid the eggs. That time cat came and ate all the eggs, as well as this time she cat able to destroy the hen also. So then while dying, hen while it was dying, she also vowed vengeance against the cat. And after that existence, both of them were again reborn as a leopardess as well as a dove, female deer. So in that existence, when the female deer uh, had cubs, the leopardess came and destroyed for the first time. For the second time also she did the same, and for the third time, the leopardess came and destroyed the cubs as well as the uh, dove also. So that's how the rivalry went on. So then, immediately after that existence, they were reborn as uh, a human lady, one reborn as a human lady, and one reborn as an ogress during the Buddha's time. So that human lady, when she had the child, the ogress came and destroyed the child for the first time. And second time also she had a baby. The ogress came and destroyed the baby. When the third time uh, the woman had a child, she was able to mm, manage to hide from the ogress. So somehow at later, this ogress came to know about the child, and she was trying to destroy the child for the third time. So that time, this woman, uh, with her child, she ran towards the Jetavana temple. That time, our Buddha, Samma Sambuddha, great teacher, was delivering us Dhamma sermon. So in between Dhamma sermon, this lady came before the Buddha and placed the sun before the feet of the Buddha for the protection. So that time, the ogress was in pursuit of this woman. So, but she was unable to enter the temple because of the virtues of the Buddha. But uh, Buddha allowed that demon or the ogress to enter the enter the temple. So now both the lady and both the ogress were sitting. Both the lady and the ogress were sitting. So Buddha admonished them and just said to them, uh, just to control your anger, control your rivalry. This feud started in the past existence, as I explained you the story Buddha told already. So then they got to know about their misbehavior and they just calmed down their rivalry, and somehow they managed to finish up their rivalry. So during that occasion, our Samma Sambuddha uttered these words, Nahi verena verani sammanti the kudachanam averena cha sammanti esadammo sanattano. Through hatred, hatred can never subside through hatred. But hatred alone can be subsided by through friendliness, loving kindness, metta. That is an eternal law. So that's the teaching that Buddha had given. So in that case, we have to understand how anger initially appear in our mind, and if we cannot control the anger at first hand, it will develop into unavoidable situations. You know, uh, it will influence to our future lives as well. If we cannot control at the beginning anger, that will happen. So suppose if you plant a seed, then it will bring a small sapling. So initially you can easily destroy the sapling if you want, but with the time, when it develops into a huge tree, then at that time if you want to destroy the tree, you cannot easily destroy it. You have to do a strenuous task, strenuous effort to destroy that. Similarly, in your mind, if the anger appears, that is the normal situation as a human being. Anger is, until you become fully enlightened, normally anger would appear in the mind. So at that time, you have to initially identify the anger. Then you have to control it. Otherwise, it will develop into a higher levels, and that time you cannot control the anger, and you will be subject to the fate of the anger. So that's why initially we need to understand the anger. So I would like to bring you one of the sutta. In that sutta, it is said that there are 10 ways, there are 10 factors anger to be arise in the mind. The one way of arising anger in the mind is that uh, we one might think in the past about someone, think in this way, he had done harm to me. If one contemplate on that this way, then anger might arise within him. That is the first way. And also one might think, at present someone is harming to me. So that time also anger would arise in his mind. And for the third factor, in future someone will harm to me. Then anger might arise in your mind. Anger arise in your mind. And the fourth factor, in the past someone did harm to my relatives, my neighbors, my friends. So that time anger arise in the mind. At present, someone someone is doing harm to my friends, relatives, and my colleagues. So that is one way of arising the anger. And in the future, someone someone will harm to my family, my neighbors, my relatives, my neighbors, my colleagues. So if one thinks on that way, the anger might arise in the mind. And the seventh factor, in the past, someone helped to my enemies. So that is the one way of arising the anger. And someone thinks in the present, they are helping to my enemies. So that is the one way of arising the anger in the mind. And the ninth factor, in the future, they will help to my enemies. So that time anger might arise in the mind. So that is the ninth factor. And the 10th factor is that attahane patigam. That means without a reason, accidentally anger might arise in your mind. Suppose when you walk, suddenly your feet hit to an object, that time anger might arise in your mind. As well as if it is too cold, anger might arise in your mind. If it is too hot, anger might arise in your mind. So those are the 10 factors that anger uh, can be arise in the mind. So as Buddhist practitioners, since the anger is, there are three main defilements: raga, dvesa, moha, desire, anger, and delusion. Out of those three, uh, the anger is one of the most prominent defilements. So you have to deal with the anger wisely. Otherwise, it will hinder your progress. So to control the anger, there are few methods can be learned through Buddhism. The one way of the first way is that practice the mindfulness. So practice awareness. So when we practicing awareness, then first hand we can identify the anger. As I explained the 10 ways of arising the anger, now anger has arisen in me. So we can identify that. So then we can do anything to the anger. So that is one way of practicing. That's why mindfulness is important. That is the first way. And the second way is that, as you may have heard, we can practice metta bhavana. It is an obvious thing. It is an way of samatha meditation, tranquil meditation, samatha meditation. By practicing samatha meditation, as metta bhavana, you can subdue the anger, but you cannot completely subdue the anger through metta bhavana. So that is the second way. And the third way of subduing or destroying the anger is the vipassana bhavana. If you can identify the thoughts, mind objects, it is having it is the true nature of the thoughts in your mind, then also you can completely eradicate the anger. So that's why vipassana is important. Vipassana means there are so many ways of doing vipassana. The one way is that considering the three marks of existence. All the objects, both externally as well as in the mentally, both physically and mentally, all the objects having the nature of arising and ceasing. Every object, both physically and mentally, has the nature of arising and ceasing. Similarly, the thoughts of anger also the same. It has the nature of arising and ceasing. So that means it is impermanent. So once you know that impermanent nature, then you know that it has the nature of suddenly disappearing. So you won't much impact or attach with that negative emotion. So then at the same time, if something is impermanent, that thing is dukkha, that means suffering. If something is impermanent, definitely that will bring you suffering, whether it is a uh, comfortable feeling, pleasant feeling, or unpleasant feeling, or neutral feeling. All three types of feelings have the nature of the impermanent. So that brings you suffering. So anger is an unpleasant feeling. It's obvious brings you suffering. So you have to understand that the nature of the anger, it is dukkha. So if something is impermanent and dukkha, that is having the nature of non-self or the selfless nature. That emotion, that negative emotion, the hatred is a negative emotion in the mind. Anger is a hatred. Anger is an negative emotion in the mind. So you have to identify at the first hand. So it has the nature of appearing and ceasing, arising and ceasing, and hence arising and ceasing nature is there. It brings us the suffering. So if something is impermanent and brings us the suffering, that has the nature of self, non-self. So that is called anatta. That is the uh, hardest thing to understand. In Buddhism, the most hardest part to understand is the non-self nature, selfless nature. So when you understand that negative emotions, the selfless nature, so then it could uh, it could it could facilitate you to easily eradicate that anger. Because suppose if you take an object in the outside, like a piece of earth, piece of uh, you know piece of air, piece of water, then you don't feel like it is mine. You don't want to control it, because obviously that it is not something which belongs to us. It belongs to the nature. It is not a self. It is not mine. It is not me. So you don't consider about them. It is naturally exist. We don't have any fear or worry about those things. Similarly, if you can compare that natural objects as well as your uh, negative emotions, then you begin to see that there is no difference between your anger, negative emotions, uh, as well as the natural objects. Then you begin to see that my thoughts are also the same. Then I can easily control these anger. That's how the anatta nature you have to be understand. When you uh, understand that non-self nature, you can easily completely eradicate the anger. So uh, as I said, if it is a natural phenomena like air, water, earth, fire, then you are not going to have hatred towards them, because no use of spreading hatred towards them, because those are natural objects. Similarly, your mind also the same. And when someone did harm to you, as I explained, that is also the same. It is like mind and matter. It is like a natural thing, karma and effect. So there is no being over there. So in that way you can understand that object, then you cannot have the anger in your mind. You have to contemplate the non-self nature, both the external objects as well as your internal objects, like your thoughts. uh, Thoughts you have to understand in that way. So that's how you completely control the anger. So I will repeat again. First of all, you have to practice mindfulness, and initially you have to understand the nature of the anger. Then you need to practice loving kindness, metta bhavana. Then you can control that anger up to some level. But when you do vipassana, you can completely eradicate anger in your mind through the vipassana. So that's how uh, today Dhamma talk went. And uh, so with that, I would like to end the Dhamma talk. And if you have any questions, I can answer them. The Buddha said that Richard is asking question. The Buddha said that anger is highly blameworthy, but that doesn't long too much, and greed is little blameworthy but lasts too. So why do people can be resentful for even its life if anger doesn't last long? And why do people out loud greed to terrible crimes if greed is little blameworthy? Yes, that is true. Mm, Anger is little blameworthy, but with anger, we can do, uh, the people might do so many uh, hazardous things. So with anger, uh, when anger appears in the mind, it can it can it can make people cry to someone, kill to someone. Killing can be also done through anger, but anger easily anger can be easily subdued. But with anger, it's called Mahasaved. I mean, it can be done much hazardous. So you have to initially. It doesn't matter that it is less blameworthy, but you have to control the anger. Otherwise, it will, as I explained that story, in the future, it will develop into a uncontrollable situations. If you at first hand, if you didn't handle it, anger will develop into hatred and vengeance. At that time, you cannot control. That's why it is less blameworthy. You can easily control it, but initially you have to identify that you have to control it. Otherwise, if it develops, you cannot control. And the greed, it will, when the greed appears in the mind, it will do not much harm, but it hard to identify. It hard to destroy. So and desire also you have to control in that way. uh, doesn't last long. Why do people out of greed do terrible crimes if greed is little blameworthy? uh, Greed is not a uh, little thing. Out of greed, greed will develop into a terrible situations. Like if you can remember the rivalry between the Buddha and the Devadatta. It is our great teacher is a super virtue human being, but for him also there was an enemy named Devadatta. So in the Jataka stories, telling that initially they were friends, and they were doing business at one time. And uh, what happened that Devadatta, when he was doing the business, he wanted to buy an gold plate. So that time he had a little bit of anger, desire, greed. He had only little greed towards that object, towards that plate, gold plate. But somehow this Bodhisattva came, and before him came and bought that gold plate. So that time the Devadatta just lost the object, lost the plate. So that time greed suddenly converted towards the anger, and anger developed into the hatred, hatred developed into the vengeance. So that's why he became a being. Even the qualities of the Buddha he was unable to identify, because initially he was having only the desire, then greed. That greediness eventually became anger and developed into the vengeance. So that's why people are tend to do, initially they will have only simple type of greed, but eventually it will develop into uncontrollable situations like the hatred and vengeance. So that's why people are tend to do much bad things, bad terrible things to the others, even with the greed. Bhante, you explained that in order to appease or eradicate hatred, one should not harbor anger or ill thoughts in the mind by practicing bhavana. Can you explain a little more as how one can do, as to how one can do that? Uh, Especially as I explained, bhavana is most important. So I explained uh, practicing awareness or mindfulness. It is also a bhavana. So through awareness, first and foremost, we have to understand the situation. That means, is the negative emotions like anger appear in the mind? First hand, we have to identify the defects, then through loving kindness, through metta bhavana, you can control, you can subdue that initial anger up to some level. You cannot completely eradicate, completely uproot the anger through loving kindness meditation. It just temporarily subduing the anger. So that's why we practice metta bhavana. But when we practice vipassana bhavana, when we begin to know the true nature, the reality of the thoughts, negative emotions, as well as all emotions, in that way, uh, you can completely eradicate the anger. Not only anger, any kind of thoughts, even the greed, uh, illusion, hatred, all those defilements, you can uh, completely eradicate through vipassana bhavana. So that's how bhavana should be practiced. So that's all the questions that we had. Okay, dear Dhamma friends, this is the time to conclude this Dhamma talk, and uh, hope you have enjoyed the Dhamma talk. And I will like to remind you that, as I explained, anger is a negative emotion. So you have to know the anger firsthand, and you practice metta and as well as vipassana, then you can completely uproot the anger. So that with that I will finish the Dhamma talk. So at the end, I would like to share all the merits that we have gained through this Dhamma talk to all the devas. May devas receive these merits, and may all devas be well, be happy, and may find the ultimate peace through Nibbana. As well as I would like to remind my great teachers who advise me always, with permission to mention their names: Venerable Mankadawala Sudassana Thera, Venerable Mankadawala Nandaratana Thera, Venerable Kotmale Kumar Kassapa Thera. May my teachers receive these merits, and may they be well, be happy, and may they find supreme bliss of Nibbana. And also, I would like to remind the Buddhist Insight Empty Cloud group, Bhante Sudasso, Ayasoma, and other all the group members in the Empty Cloud monastery. So they also may receive these merits, and may they be able to be well, be happy, and may they be able to attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. And finally, with these all merits and the virtues of the triple gems, may all of you, those who have contributed to this Dhamma talk and those who have participated, may all be well, be happy, and we find the ultimate peace of Nibbana soon. So I will bless you with the stanza. Abhivadana Silis Nichang Buddha Pachaino Chattaro Dhamma Vardhanti Ayuvanno Sukhang Balang Ayu Arogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Atho Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samijhatu. So see you next time. Teruvan Sarnai to all.